Let me tell you something powerful, something that can change the entire direction of your life. Most people spend their energy chasing what they don't have, begging for validation, approval, or love that they think will complete them. But here's the truth: when you chase, you repel. When you beg, you lower your energy. When you focus on you, you attract everything that's meant for you. See, life is not about convincing anyone of your worth. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't have to explain it. The moment you stop chasing people, opportunities, or recognition and start building yourself, your confidence, your mindset, your craft, everything starts shifting in your favor, because energy doesn't lie. When you're desperate, you emit scarcity. When you're centered, you emit strength. You've got to stop giving your power away to people who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared for a week. You've got to stop trying to fit into spaces that don't value your presence. The more you chase, the further it runs. The more you beg, the smaller you feel. But the moment you focus inward, when you say, I'm going to become unshakable, unstoppable, undeniable, the world begins to adjust to your new frequency. Focus on building your mind. Focus on raising your standards. Focus on your discipline, your peace, your growth. Because when you evolve, you outgrow. And what's not meant for you will naturally fall away. You don't need to fight for what's aligned with your destiny. It will flow to you when you are ready for it. Every time you feel tempted to chase, pause. Ask yourself, why do I need this so badly? What inside me feels incomplete without it? Because that's where the real work begins. The problem isn't the thing you want, it's the attachment to needing it to feel enough. Detach. Detach from outcomes. Detach from timelines. Detach from needing anyone to see your worth. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you stop begging, you start commanding. The world responds to how you see yourself. If you see yourself as someone who must prove your value, you'll always end up in situations that test it. But when you know you're enough, you don't need to prove a thing. You walk differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. Focus on you. Build the version of yourself that's so grounded, so strong, so fulfilled that you don't need validation, applause, or permission. Wake up every morning with one goal: to outgrow the old version of you. Not to impress anyone, not to chase someone's approval, but to rise above yesterday's limits. The person who stops begging, stops casing, and starts focusing on themselves becomes unstoppable. Because now your happiness isn't controlled by who texts you back or who claps for you. It's in your hands. That's real freedom. Every ounce of energy you waste on chasing something outside of you is energy taken away from building the greatness within you. Redirect. Every time you want to text someone who's ignoring you, go work on your dream. Every time you want to prove your worth, go upgrade your skills. Every time you want to beg someone to see your value, go stand in front of a mirror and remind yourself of who you are. You don't need to chase what's yours. You don't need to beg for what you deserve. You just need to focus laser sharp on your mission, your growth, your peace, because the universe rewards those who invest in themselves, not those who wait for someone else to save them. Stop chasing. Stop begging. Focus on you. The right people will find you. The right opportunities will meet you. The right timing will align for you. Because when you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, everything else begins to fall into place. Stop seeking validation. Your worth isn't up for negotiation. So many people live their lives waiting for someone else to tell them they're enough. They seek approval from parents, friends, bosses, or strangers online, as if another person's opinion could define their value. But the truth is, when you need validation, you give away your power. You hand over your self-worth to people who might never understand you, and you start shaping your identity around what will please them instead of what fulfills you. Every time you seek approval, you reinforce the belief that you are somehow incomplete without it. You become addicted to external recognition, and that dependency makes you fragile. The world begins to control your emotions because your confidence rises and falls based on the reactions of others. One compliment lifts you up. One criticism tears you down. That's not freedom. That's bondage disguised as connection. True strength begins when you realize that your worth is not a group project. It's not a vote. It's not conditional, and it's not up for debate. The moment you stop asking, am I good enough? And start declaring, I am, everything begins to shift. Because confidence isn't arrogance, it's ownership. It's knowing that your value doesn't increase when people praise you or decrease when they doubt you. It's understanding that your energy, your vision, your heart, those are not things to be validated. They are things to be expressed. The people who don't see your light are simply not meant to walk your path, and that's okay. You were not born to convince anyone of your greatness. You were born to embody it. Think about how much time and energy is wasted trying to win the approval of others. You change how you speak, how you act, even what you believe, just to be accepted by people who are still figuring themselves out. And in the process, you lose touch with your authenticity. You dim your light to make others comfortable. You silence your truth to avoid judgment. But that kind of acceptance is fake. It's temporary, because the moment you stop performing, the approval disappears and you're left wondering who you are without it. That's why self-validation is so powerful. When you validate yourself, no one can take it away from you. You become self-sustaining. You start to operate from a place of wholeness instead of need. You don't chase approval. You attract respect. When you stop seeking validation, you stop shrinking. You stop apologizing for your ambition. You stop over-explaining your dreams. You stop letting rejection dictate your direction. You begin to move differently. You make decisions based on alignment, not acceptance. You start trusting your intuition more than you trust other people's opinions. You become grounded in who you are instead of who you're expected to be. And that's when you start experiencing real peace, the kind that doesn't depend on anyone's reaction. Because peace isn't found in people liking you. It's found in you liking yourself. It's found in knowing that even if the world misunderstands you, you're still standing in your truth. The irony is that the moment you stop seeking validation, you actually become more magnetic. People are drawn to those who are unapologetically themselves because that kind of energy is rare. It's pure. It's powerful. When you walk into a room with quiet confidence without the need to prove anything, people feel it. They respect it. They gravitate toward it. You don't need to announce your worth. It's felt through your presence. And those who can't see it, that's their limitation, not yours. You can't force someone to recognize your value any more than you can make the sun shine brighter for someone wearing blindfolds. Your job is to shine anyway. This shift isn't easy. It takes courage to break free from the need for approval because it's been conditioned into you since childhood. From a young age, you were taught to seek gold stars, good grades, praise, and permission. You learned that love was earned through behavior and recognition, but that's an illusion. Real love, real self-worth isn't earned, it's remembered. You don't have to become worthy. You already are. You just have to remove the layers of doubt, fear, and insecurity that have been built up through years of external conditioning. Every time you remind yourself, I am enough, you chip away at those layers. Every time you choose self-trust over self-doubt, you reinforce the truth. You begin to rewire your mind to stop asking for permission to be who you are. When you no longer seek validation, you can handle criticism without crumbling. You can receive feedback without feeling attacked. You can celebrate others without feeling less than. Because you're not operating from insecurity, you're operating from self-assurance. And that's what makes you unstoppable. You start moving with intention instead of fear. You stop trying to fit in because you were never meant to. You were meant to stand out in your own unique way. You were meant to walk a path that others might not understand at first. But that's the beauty of purpose. It's personal. It's not meant to be validated by the crowd. It's meant to be lived by the individual. The world will always have opinions. People will always have something to say. Some will criticize you for doing too much. Others will criticize you for not doing enough. You'll never satisfy everyone, and you don't have to. The goal isn't to be universally liked. It's to be authentically aligned. Because when you're aligned, the right people will naturally connect with you. The wrong ones will fade away, and that's not rejection, that's redirection. Life has a way of removing what's not meant for your growth. And when you stop fighting for validation, you allow that process to unfold without resistance. Stop looking for yourself in the reflection of someone else's eyes. You are not a project to be approved. You are a masterpiece to be recognized by you. The moment you realize your worth is non-negotiable, your entire life begins to elevate. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop settling for less. You stop explaining yourself to people who aren't listening. You start living in alignment with your truth, and that's when freedom begins to take root. Because freedom isn't found in being liked. It's found in being real. It's found in knowing who you are and standing in it unapologetically. You are not here to be accepted. You are here to be authentic. And once you grasp that, you no longer need validation to move forward. You become validation itself. When you chase, you repel. When you focus, you attract. This is one of the most powerful truths about human energy. Yet it's one of the hardest lessons for people to learn. When you're chasing something, whether it's success, love, approval, or opportunity, you're sending out a signal that says, I don't have it. And that signal creates resistance. The more you reach, the more it runs. The more you try to force things, the more they slip away. Because the energy of chasing comes from lack, from scarcity, from fear that if you don't get it now, you'll never have it. But attraction doesn't work that way. Attraction happens when you are aligned with what you want, When you've already become the version of yourself who is worthy of receiving it, when your focus shifts from getting to growing, from chasing to becoming, everything changes. You've seen it in every area of life. Think about relationships. When someone chases you too hard, when they're desperate for attention, it doesn't draw you and it pushes you away. But when someone is confident, fulfilled, and grounded in who they are, you feel pulled toward them. The same principle applies to your goals, your career, your dreams. When you chase, you're telling the universe you're not enough as you are. You're broadcasting neediness, and neediness repels. But when you focus, truly focus on your craft, your vision, your growth, you create momentum. You become magnetic because your energy says, I'm already whole, I'm already capable, I'm already ready. And that energy attracts opportunities that match your vibration. The problem with chasing is that it creates anxiety and desperation. You start measuring your worth by how close you are to your target instead of how much you're evolving in the process. You start believing that fulfillment lies somewhere out there in something or someone you don't yet have. You become impatient, frustrated, and restless. You begin to overthink, overanalyze, and overwork, hoping that if you just push harder, you'll force the outcome. But life doesn't reward force, it rewards flow. When you let go of the obsession with outcomes and start focusing on progress, peace enters the picture. You begin to realize that you can't control timing, but you can control energy. You can't always control results, but you can control effort. And when your effort is consistent and your energy is grounded, what's meant for you can't miss you. The secret is shifting from the external to the internal. Instead of asking, why isn't it happening yet? Ask, who am I becoming while I wait? Because the moment you grow into the person capable of handling what you want, it starts showing up. But if you're chasing without developing, you're sending a message of unpreparedness. You're saying, oh, I need this thing to complete me, instead of I'm already complete and I'm ready for what aligns with me. That small shift changes everything. The universe responds to energy, not desperation. When your energy is needy, it closes doors. When your energy is abundant, it opens them. You attract what you are, not what you wish for. And becoming what you want to attract is the real work. When you focus, you're not ignoring the goal, you're aligning with it. You're pouring your time into building your foundation, into improving your discipline, your skills, your mindset. You're making yourself undeniable, not by chasing opportunities, but by creating the kind of energy that opportunities can't resist. Focus creates power. It turns chaos into clarity. It transforms waiting into preparation. When you're focused, you don't waste energy worrying about who's watching, who's supporting, or who's clapping. You're too busy working on yourself, too busy mastering your craft, too busy creating momentum. And when you do that long enough, something magical happens. What you once chased starts chasing you. The doors you once knocked on start opening on their own. Chasing also comes from fear, the fear of missing out, the fear of not being enough, the fear that time is running out. But focus is born from faith, faith in your ability, faith in your timing, faith that what's meant for you will come when you are ready. Focus says, I don't need to chase because I trust that my preparation will meet my opportunity. That's not passive waiting. That's active alignment. It's waking up every day with discipline and intention, not panic and desperation. It's building the habits, routines, and mindset that make you a magnet for the life you desire. Chasing drains energy, focus builds it. Chasing creates confusion, focus creates conviction. And conviction is what moves mountains. When you chase validation, you lose authenticity. When you chase people, you lose peace. When you chase success, you lose balance. But when you focus on your purpose, all those things start finding you naturally because purpose is attractive. Passion is attractive. Consistency is attractive. The person who focuses on themselves, who keeps improving quietly, who stays patient when everyone else is panicking, becomes unstoppable. You stop asking, when will it happen? And start saying, I'm becoming the person who makes it happen. That mindset shift is the difference between struggle and flow, between rejection and attraction, between exhaustion and empowerment. You attract when you don't need it to complete you. That's the paradox of life. The less you cling, the more it comes. The less you force, the more it flows. Because attraction operates on the frequency of sufficiency. When you already feel whole, what you want becomes an extension of who you are, not a replacement for what you lack. That's why the most powerful people don't chase. They move with intention. They create, they build, they align. They understand that chasing puts the power outside of you, while focus keeps it within you. You can't manifest from desperation. You can only manifest from strength, and strength comes from focus. Every time you're tempted to chase something, pause, ask yourself if your energy is coming from fear or faith. If it's fear, redirect it inward. Use that energy to build. If it's faith, then continue focusing. It's already on its way. The difference between those who attract and those who chase is patience. Most people give up before the results show up. They lose focus, they panic, they start forcing things again. But those who stay consistent, those who trust the process, those who understand that growth takes time, they always win in the end. Because attraction is not instant, it's gradual. It builds through effort, consistency, and belief. When you focus, you create an aura of certainty. People feel it when they're around you. Opportunities sense it. You stop needing to convince or persuade because your energy does the talking. You don't need to chase success when you embody it. You don't need to chase love when you radiate self-love. You don't need to chase abundance when you operate from gratitude. That's the level of inner power focus gives you. It transforms your vibration from I need to I am. And that's the most magnetic state a person can be in. Chasing is loud, focus is quiet. Chasing is desperate, focus is deliberate. Chasing comes from a place of emptiness, focus comes from fullness. You have to decide which kind of energy you want to live from, because one drains you and leaves you constantly searching, and the other elevates you and draws what's meant for you closer. When you truly understand this, you stop running after everything and start realizing that you are the magnet. You don't have to chase what's already aligned with your frequency. You just have to raise your frequency high enough to meet it. That's what happens when you focus. You become the attraction. Energy grows where attention flows. Invest it in yourself. Every thought, every emotion, every decision you make carries energy. The direction you give that energy determines the quality of your life. Most people don't realize that where they place their focus is where their future is being built. When your attention is scattered on gossip, on fear, on comparison, on what others are doing, you drain yourself. You're feeding things that don't serve you, and they grow stronger because of it. But when you direct that same attention inward, toward your growth, your peace, your purpose, you begin to build momentum. You start to notice that the more you invest in yourself, the more life invests back in you. Energy doesn't disappear. It multiplies in the direction it's aimed. Everything in your life right now is a reflection of where your energy has been going. The relationships you have, the level of success you experience, the peace you feel, they all mirror your focus. When you pour energy into worrying, you create more things to worry about. When you pour energy into gratitude, you attract more to be grateful for. It's not magic, it's alignment. The universe reflects your dominant vibration, and that vibration is shaped by what you consistently pay attention to. That's why self-awareness is so powerful. It's not about control, it's about responsibility. You can't always choose what happens, but you can choose what you feed with your focus. And whatever you feed grows. People often say they want success, happiness, or peace, but their actions show they're feeding distraction, drama, and doubt. They spend hours scrolling, comparing their lives to strangers, complaining about circumstances they're not willing to change. They don't realize that every complaint is an investment of energy. Every moment spent focusing on what's wrong is energy taken away from building what could be right. When you catch yourself doing that, stop and redirect. Ask yourself, is this feeding the future I want or the one I fear? Because every thought is a seed and your attention is the water. You can't grow flowers if you keep watering weeds. When you begin to invest energy into yourself, things start to transform. You begin to see that peace isn't something you find, it's something you build. Confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you train. Success isn't an accident, it's a reflection of consistent focus. The more you pour energy into your own evolution, the less you need to chase validation, approval, or external rewards. You become self-sustained. You become your own source of strength. And that's when life starts responding differently, because the universe rewards direction. It rewards those who know where they're placing their energy and why. When your focus is clear, your outcomes become powerful. Investing in yourself doesn't just mean reading books or learning new skills. It means protecting your energy like it's sacred, because it is. It means saying no to things that drain you, to people who deplete you, to situations that don't align with your growth. It means being selective about where your time and attention go, because those are the two things you'll never get back. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something vital. You have to start treating your energy like currency, because it's the most valuable resource you have. If you spend it carelessly, you'll stay broke in spirit. But if you invest it wisely, it compounds into confidence, clarity, and success. When you focus your energy on personal growth, the world opens up in ways you can't imagine. You start to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You start to find peace in moments that used to create panic. You start to trust yourself in situations that once filled you with doubt. That's the power of focused energy. It transforms perspective before it transforms results. The change happens internally first. You begin to feel stronger, calmer, more grounded. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop blaming and start building. You stop waiting for motivation and start creating momentum. And that shift is what separates people who talk about change from people who live in energy. Is not just mental. It's physical and emotional too. When you take care of your body, your energy expands. When you move, exercise, rest properly, and eat well, you create vitality. That vitality fuels focus, and focus fuels success. But when you neglect your health, your energy becomes dull. You can't pour from an empty cup. So many people are mentally strong but physically drained, emotionally intelligent but spiritually exhausted. That's why investing in yourself means nurturing every part of you, mind, body, and spirit. Because the stronger your energy, the more resilient your focus. And the more resilient your focus, the faster your life transforms. Think about how much more powerful your life becomes when you stop giving your energy to things that don't matter. Imagine if every ounce of frustration, jealousy, or overthinking was redirected into growth, into learning, into creating something meaningful. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because their energy is scattered. They're trying to do too much for too many instead of doing the right things for themselves. Focused energy is unstoppable. It doesn't mean working harder. It means working wiser. It's about alignment, not hustle. You don't need to burn out to succeed. You need to tune in to what truly deserves your energy. When you begin to invest in yourself, you also raise your standards. You stop entertaining what no longer matches your energy. You stop settling for relationships that drain you or environments that stunt your growth. Because when your energy grows, your boundaries grow with it. You start to protect your peace because you understand how expensive it is to lose it. You start to value your time because you see how much it costs to waste it. You start to value your attention because you realize it's shaping your reality every second. And that awareness makes you powerful because now you're no longer living on autopilot. You're living with intention. Investing in yourself also means giving yourself grace. Growth takes patience. Focus takes discipline. Energy takes renewal. You can't grow in guilt. You can't evolve if you're constantly criticizing your pace. Some days investing in yourself means learning something new. Other days it means resting without guilt. Both are forms of self-respect because energy doesn't always mean movement. Sometimes it means stillness, reflection, and recalibration. The goal is not to do more, but to align more, to make sure that every action, thought, and emotion is in harmony with the life you want to create. When you commit to this kind of focus, you stop being reactive to the world and start being creative with it. You realize you're not a victim of your circumstances. You're a result of your focus. You stop giving your attention to negativity, to drama, to noise that doesn't move you forward. You stop being emotionally available for chaos. You stop chasing what drains you and start nurturing what grows you. You become intentional with your words, your choices, and your environment. And that's when life starts mirroring your energy back to you in the form of better relationships, greater opportunities, deeper peace, and stronger purpose. Energy grows where attention flows. It's not just a saying, it's a universal truth. What you look at expands. What you focus on becomes stronger. If you focus on problems, they multiply. If you focus on solutions, they appear. If you focus on growth, you evolve. And if you focus on yourself, you become the kind of person who naturally attracts everything they used to chase. Because the secret isn't in forcing life to give you what you want. It's in aligning your energy with what you want to receive. When you invest in yourself, you become magnetic to everything that matches your frequency. You stop fighting for your place in the world and start creating it through the energy you bring into every moment. Detachment is power. What's meant for you will align. There's a deep strength that comes when you stop clinging to outcomes and start trusting timing. Most people live in a constant state of tension, trying to control everything, the results, the people, the timing, the reactions. They think control gives them power, but it actually drains it. The more you try to grip what isn't ready, the more it slips away. Detachment isn't about not caring. It's about caring differently. It's about knowing that you've done your part, you've planted your seeds, and now it's time to allow life to unfold the way it's supposed to. When you stop forcing, you create space for flow, and flow is where alignment lives. Attachment comes from fear, the fear of loss, of uncertainty, of the unknown. You hold on tightly because you believe that if you let go, you'll lose what you want. But the truth is, when you cling too hard, you suffocate it. Whether it's a person, a dream, or an opportunity, nothing thrives under the weight of desperation. Detachment doesn't mean you give up. It means you give space. It's the difference between grasping with fear and allowing with faith. When you detach, you say, I trust that what's meant for me will find me and what's not meant for me will pass. That's real power, because now your peace no longer depends on what happens outside of you. You stop chasing outcomes and start aligning with purpose. Detachment frees you from emotional turbulence. When you're attached to results, every little delay feels like failure. Every setback feels like rejection. Every silence feels like loss. You live in constant anxiety, measuring your worth by what's happening in the moment. But when you detach, you understand that not getting what you want right now doesn't mean you'll never get it. It just means it's not time yet. Life has its own rhythm, and sometimes the waiting is preparation. The universe isn't punishing you, it's positioning you. When you can hold your vision without forcing it, that's when real alignment begins. Because alignment isn't built on control, it's built on trust. The irony is that when you let go, things start to flow. You stop blocking the very blessings you've been praying for. You stop creating resistance with your need to know, to predict, to guarantee. The moment you release the outcome, you create room for something better to enter. The job you thought you needed, the relationship you tried to force, the path you were obsessed with. All of those things might not have been meant for you. And by holding on, you were only delaying what was. Detachment allows better to arrive because you're no longer standing in your own way. You've released the grip, and now your energy is open and receptive instead of tense and demanding. When you detach, you stop negotiating your peace for control. You stop believing that everything must go your way to be okay. You start realizing that not getting what you wanted is often the greatest blessing because it redirects you towards something more aligned. Detachment is strength disguised as stillness. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It takes confidence to let go, to trust the unseen, to believe that you're being guided even when you can't see the full picture. It's an act of courage to say, I don't need to control this, I just need to be ready for it. That readiness is what alignment feels like. It's calm, steady, unshaken by outcomes. People often confuse detachment with indifference, but they're not the same. Indifference is apathy. Detachment is awareness. Indifference says, I don't care. Detachment says, I care deeply, but I refuse to suffer for what's beyond my control. It's emotional intelligence. It's maturity. It's the ability to love, to dream, to strive without losing yourself in the process. You can give your all without clinging. You can be passionate without being possessive. You can want something wholeheartedly and still have peace if it doesn't happen, because you know what's meant for you will always find a way. That balance is what gives you power. It makes you untouchable in a world addicted to attachment. Think about the people who move with grace through life. They're not the ones chasing everything. They're the ones attracting through calm confidence. They know that everything that's meant for them will align in divine timing. They're not forcing doors open. They're preparing so that when the right door appears, they're ready to walk through it. That's what detachment gives you: freedom from desperation and the ability to act from clarity instead of chaos. When you stop chasing and start allowing, your energy becomes magnetic. You're not saying, I need this to feel complete. You're saying, I'm already complete, and I trust that what's meant for me will recognize that. That energy changes everything. Detachment is also about surrendering the illusion of control. You can plan, prepare, and take massive action, but at some point, you must surrender the outcome. Because life doesn't always move according to your schedule. Some things take longer because they're building a stronger foundation. Some things fall apart because they were never meant to stay. Some doors close because you're meant to build your own. When you're attached, you fight these moments. When you're detached, you flow through them with grace, knowing that every rejection is redirection and every delay is protection. That kind of mindset makes you powerful, because now life can't break you. It can only shape you. Detachment to stay centered in the midst of uncertainty. While others panic when things don't go their way, you stay calm. You've learned that chaos outside doesn't have to create chaos inside. You've learned that silence doesn't mean absence, and that waiting doesn't mean nothing is happening. Growth often happens in the unseen. Alignment is quiet, subtle, and patient. When you detach, you make peace with the process. You stop needing immediate proof because your faith becomes your evidence. You move forward knowing that timing isn't punishment, it's precision. Everything that's meant for you will align when both you, and already there's a different kind of confidence that comes when you live with detachment. It's not loud or showy, it's calm and grounded. You stop reacting to every little shift in life because you know that not everything requires your energy. You learn to respond instead of react. You start to flow through challenges with resilience because you understand that resistance only creates more resistance. Detachment doesn't take away your drive, it refines it. It keeps your passion pure, your intentions clear, and your energy balanced. You become the observer and the creator at the same time, able to act with purpose and detach from the need for immediate gratification. When you master detachment, relationships become healthier. You stop expecting people to complete you and start enjoying them as they are. You stop controlling love and start allowing connection. You stop demanding loyalty through fear and start inspiring it through authenticity. In work, you stop obsessing over outcomes and start focusing on excellence. You give your best, not because you're afraid to lose, but because it's who you are. In life, you stop worrying about missing out and start trusting that what's yours will never require you to beg for it. Detachment gives you emotional freedom. It lets you live, love, and create without fear of loss. And when you live from that place, life becomes lighter. You stop fighting against the current and start flowing with it. You understand that every ending is not a loss, it's an opening. Every closed door is not rejection, it's direction. Every silence is not punishment, it's space for clarity. You stop rushing your destiny and start preparing for it. Because detachment doesn't mean giving up, it means leveling up. It means you're no longer chasing alignment, you're becoming it. You're no longer begging for timing, you're trusting it. You're no longer doubting the process, you're surrendering to it. And that's the kind of quiet power that changes everything. Build yourself so strong that nothing external controls your peace. Real power begins when your internal world becomes unshakable, when your happiness and balance stop depending on circumstances, opinions, or outcomes. Most people spend their lives reacting to everything outside of them. The traffic, the comments, the rejection, the weather, the moods of others. And they wonder why they feel exhausted, drained, and unstable. They've given their peace away in tiny pieces without even realizing it. But the moment you decide that your emotional stability is yours to protect, everything changes. You begin to reclaim control over your life, not by changing everything around you, but by strengthening everything within you. True strength is not about never falling. It's about being so centered that no fall can keep you down. When you build yourself strong internally, you stop being a victim of external chaos. You realize that peace is not the absence of problems, it's the ability to remain grounded through them. You stop looking for common circumstances and start creating calm in your mind. You stop expecting people to behave a certain way to keep you happy and start mastering your reactions so their behavior can't disturb you. This is emotional independence, the kind of power that can't be taken from you. When you reach that state, no disappointment can break you, no rejection can define you, and no storm can destroy you. Because you've learned to live from the inside out, not the outside, and it starts with awareness. You have to notice what steals your peace. Every time something external disturbs you, ask yourself why it has that power. Why do certain words, actions, or outcomes throw you off balance? The answer is never out there, it's always within. Triggers point to unhealed places, to expectations, to attachments, to insecurities that still have roots in your mind. When you identify them, you can work on them. You can start building mental strength by practicing self-control, patience, and emotional intelligence. Because peace doesn't come from controlling the world, it comes from mastering your response to it. When you master your emotions, you stop being reactive. You stop giving every situation permission to define your state of being. Building strength is a process. It's not something that happens overnight. It's a daily commitment to showing up for yourself, to pushing through resistance, to training your mind just like you would train your body. You have to feed it with empowering thoughts, challenge it with new perspectives, and rest it with silence. Most people underestimate the power of mental training. They'll spend hours in the gym, but no time learning how to manage their emotions or redirect their thoughts. But your mind is the foundation of everything. If it's weak, everything else crumbles under pressure. If it's strong, you can handle anything. You can face rejection and still believe in yourself. You can face uncertainty and still move with confidence. You can face loss and still find gratitude. That's real strength. When you build inner stability, external chaos starts losing its power over you. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop trying to fix everything outside of you to feel okay inside. Instead, you learn to sit with discomfort, to breathe through challenges, to observe instead of absorb. You begin to see that most battles are not with the world, but with your own thoughts about it. Once you change your internal dialogue, everything around you feels different. You stop interpreting situations as attacks and start seeing them as opportunities to strengthen your peace. Every challenge becomes a gym for your soul, every obstacle a chance to grow your resilience. The world doesn't get easier, you just get stronger. One of the keys to building internal strength is detachment from external validation. As long as your peace depends on who likes you, who approves of you, or who stays in your life, you'll always be vulnerable. You can't control other people's opinions, moods, or decisions. But you can control how much power you give them. You can choose to define yourself by your own values, not by someone else's perception. You can choose to measure your worth by your growth, not by applause. You can choose to walk away from anything that disturbs your peace instead of trying to fix what isn't aligned. The moment you realize you don't anyone's permission to be at peace, you become free. Another part of this strength comes from discipline. Peace doesn't just appear. It's built through consistency, boundaries, and habits. It's in how you start your mornings, how you talk to yourself, how you manage your energy. Discipline is self-respect. It's saying no to what drains you and yes to what develops you. It's keeping promises to yourself even when no one is watching. It's protecting your mental space by limiting negativity, distractions, and toxic environments. When your life is structured around peace, peace becomes your natural state. You stop chasing it in moments of crisis because it's already woven into your daily rhythm. And that rhythm becomes your armor. When the world tries to pull you out of balance, you also have to build emotional resilience by embracing challenges instead of avoiding them. Every time life tests you, you're being given a chance to strengthen your foundation. The people who thrive are not the ones who avoid struggle. They're the ones who learn how to move through it with grace. Resilience doesn't mean you never feel pain. It means you don't let pain dictate your direction. It means you experience disappointment, but don't lose hope. It means you acknowledge emotions without letting them take control. The stronger you become, the more you realize that peace isn't about never being hurt. It's about healing faster each time. You recover quicker because you trust yourself more. You know you've been through worse and survived, so fear loses its grip. When you build yourself strong, you stop waiting for circumstances to calm down before you feel calm. You stop waiting for success to feel worthy, for love to feel complete, for validation to feel confident. You start living from a place of fullness, not emptiness. You stop chasing peace and start embodying it. People will notice the difference. They'll sense that quiet strength in your energy, that unbothered confidence that doesn't need to prove anything. And that energy will protect you more than any wall ever could. Because peace isn't passive, it's powerful. It's the mark of someone who has fought internal battles. And one, building strength also means accepting that not everyone will understand your peace. Some people are addicted to chaos, and when you stop participating, they'll call you distant or cold. Don't let that pull you back in. Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's essential. You can't help anyone if you're constantly depleted. You can't uplift others if you're always being dragged down. Your peace is your power, and anyone who threatens it doesn't belong in your inner circle. Setting boundaries isn't rejection, it's protection. It's saying, I value my peace too much to let this energy stay. When you live from that place, your life becomes lighter, clearer, and more intentional. Inner strength is not about perfection. It's about stability. It's about being so in tune with yourself that no matter what happens, you know how to return to center. It's about building a mindset that says, I can handle whatever comes. It's about having faith in your own ability to adapt, to grow, to overcome. Because peace is not found in a life without storms. It's found in becoming the kind of person who can stand firm in any weather. When you reach that point, you stop fearing what's next. You stop trying to predict every outcome. You start trusting yourself deeply, and that trust becomes your unshakable foundation. Building yourself strong enough that nothing external controls your peace is the highest form of freedom. It's the moment you stop living as a reaction to the world and start living as the creator of your own state of being. You realize that while you can't control the waves, you can control how you surf them. You can't stop life from changing, but you can choose how to move with it. You can't stop people from leaving, but you can refuse to lose yourself when they do. That's the kind of strength that makes you untouchable. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's calm, centered, and powerful beyond measure.